Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to join us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Tonight, plank vendors, dozens of them, out of business after their structures were demolished today in the city of Douala. We'll tell you more in just a moment. Also ahead, we're going to be talking about some students in Kumba, Meme Division that were kidnapped recently. The senior divisional officer for Meme Division has confirmed that they were released. We also talk about gender-based violence that is on the rise in the southwest region of Cameroon. Derek Jato is on standby. Those are headlines. We shall be right back with the details. Stay with us. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Let's begin right away in the economic capital, Douala, where plank vendors at Kang Yabasi neighborhood in the Douala 2 subdivision were today evicted from a piece of land alleged to be belonging or to be that of the owner of an enterprise. According to the lawyer of the owner of the said enterprise or the enterprise, before their eviction, they had been served a quit notice. Details with Sumanjikan Gabriel.
It was a tense atmosphere at the Camp Yabasi neighborhood located under the Douala 2 council area Friday. Vendors of plank residing on a piece of land were forcefully evicted from the site they have been occupying for the past 6 years now. Reasons for the presence of the anti-riot car of the gendarmerie. The vendors of plank are contesting a court decision that states the land was belonging to an enterprise on which they have been doing their business.
It does not belong to Kosimekam at all. Kosimekam has its land title, which states Bonamikenge Aqua Premier. Here is Kanyabasi Douala Dozem. You cannot take a land title which is Douala Premier to come and chase away those staying in Kanyabasi Douala Dozem. This is a government land. We are in court with Kosimekam. Even as I speak, 2 days ago, court descended to Cadastre to go and make information about this land. And they discovered that this land does not correspond with its land title. The land title is Bonamikenge Aqua Premier. There has been a technical report by a quantity surveyor engaged by us. So this is intimidation.
Though the place was heavily secured, the plank vendors were however given a quit notice before the descent of the security officials.
2 days today that they have sent people that they want to come and do their work here today. So on our surprise today, we see many people here coming to break us without any information they have given us. And this matter has been for many years, and this is the last second one. And we are here because of our people. We are people that respect the law, and this place is not belongs to this man. And we have got to do all the necessary things in order to know if the area belongs to him. And we see that all the documents doesn't belong to him.
Though the victims claim their innocence, the lawyer on the case says before the eviction exercise Friday, the vendors and them had held several meetings at different venues. The State Council's office, the Nigerian Consulate residence, and at the SDO's office here in Douala, demanding that they leave the zone. Many are now asking the question, after the use of force, what next? Will the plank vendors abandon the zone, and where will be their next destination?
We now talk about something else. The students and school authorities that were kidnapped at the Baptist High School in Barombi, Kang in Kumba, Meme Division of the southwest region of Cameroon, have been released. They were held they were liberated rather this Friday, the 23rd of November 2018. Let's have the details of the report with Innocent Aze.
The 5 students and principal of the Baptist High School Barombi Kankumba in Meme Division of the Southwest region held back regained their freedom Friday, November 23rd as a result of military crackdown operation on their abductors. Their release comes after 3 of them first gained liberty. They were taken to a health center for medical check-up after recounting the condition under which they lived in the bush.
We sat down there until we stay crying that our feet and mosquito is biting us. They asked us to sleep on top of where they are drying cocoa. They put bed spreads on top. They covered us now. We slept there. Then after that night, the next night we sat there. They went and bought us toothbrushes, toothpaste. They bought pads. They bought food for us to eat. We ate. We pullovers because we asked them that we're feeling cold. We came now when they brought the food, they unmasked us, then they masked themselves. We finished eating now. They made us to feel comfortable. They did not ever beat us in no occasion or threaten us about anything. They just told us that if everybody cooperates with us, we are going to go. They did not ever harm us or ever threaten to do anything but us.
But what happened and how did the 8 students and their principal get there?
When the whole head gunshots, then we were told that it was from Kaskumba. So now boys entered our hall with our principal. Our principal asked us to calm down. The boys now came to my table where I was sitting. They tapped my friend. They asked the occupation of our parents. We gave them the occupations. They asked who is from Boya. My friend stood up. They asked us that we should follow them outside. They took 8 of us outside. So now they told our principal to go and get her car from her house. She brought the car. They asked 4 of us to enter the car. 4 girls entered the car and 2 boys sat beside the driver's seat. We rushed now to the gate. They all went to the gate. The gate was closed, so they asked the security guards to come and open the gate. They opened the gate, but we did not know where we were going to. Then they dropped. They asked our principal to pull over and go back to school. They took the 4 of us with 2 boys. They blindfolded our eyes. It took us to walk about for 1 hour. 1 hour can see. We entered one bush, we don't know where we were.
The whole incident began Wednesday night, November 21st, 2018 at about 7 p.m.
Yesterday, we told you how businesses, schools, and the state are being affected by the Anglophone crisis. The situation of journalists is another cause for concern. They are either arrested or threatened for doing their job. The highest case is an arrest of journalists and detention in Cameroon were recorded in 2017 and 2018. Nevisi Maimo took part in a meeting that was in Limbe to train journalists on how to report in times of crisis. He tells us more in the following story.
As the Anglophone crisis continues, with solution for a possible end of the crisis still very far-fetched, human rights violations witnessing a sharp increase every day, with little or no report about it. Human rights organizations and local human rights monitors across the 2 regions lack resources, skills, cooperation from authorities, and security for reliable information and report that might stir debate on policy changes and encourage better enforcement and protection of human rights. Consequently, international and national human rights organizations, including government institutions like the National Commission on Human Rights and Freedom, most often rely on the media, which itself is more vulnerable than the vulnerable people of the Northwest and Southwest regions. Journalists cannot fully document or produce data of their ongoing human rights violation, since their own rights are being violated too. 2017 records more than ever before in the history of Cameroon the number of journalists arrested and detained, with their case linked to the ongoing Anglophone crisis, even though later released with some to have spent half a year behind bars. This year, 2018, more journalists continue to be arrested and detained. It is in this regard that Africaphone, a non-governmental organization, brought together some 30 grassroots human rights organizations and journalists with the objective to strengthen them on skills relating gathering evidence-based and scientific information on human rights violation, create a human rights website for the collection of data on human rights violation.
Looking at our community, there is a lot of human rights violation and abuses right now. See one of the fundamental rights of children being violated, like the right to education.
Eugene Fongwa, one of the facilitators, says not reporting or documenting on human rights violation is very dangerous for the growth of any nation.
I think it's very important in that when things happen and they're not documented or reported, the right measures may not be taken. And so it's useful that human rights organizations get into the habit of collecting this information and put it out into the public and policy authorities in a way that can be useful in defining the policies that should be taken to resolve the crisis.
Nonetheless, participants admitted the risks taken by some journalists in reporting in certain risk areas.
It's not about who wants to go through a situation where the games of war are not being respected. We're all afraid of stray bullets.
The training of grassroots human rights organizations and journalists by Africaphonie and the putting in place of a website, it is expected will help the government and its partners for better enforcement and protection of human rights violation in Cameroon.
We stay in the southwest region of Cameroon. This time we take you to the southwest regional headquarters of Boya, where at least 1 out of 3 women is victim of gender-based violence in Cameroon. Gender promoters want to reverse the trend by educating women on their rights and how to denounce such cases. Derek Jato took part in a seminar. He tells us more in the following story.
Statistics show that violence against women and girl child is still a reality in the society.
1 in every 3 women is a victim or survivor of gender-based violence.
And there is even a darker and scary picture to this activity defined by activists as a sin and a crime.
Violence against women and girls is a human rights violation. In most cases, women, because of threat, because of fear, are not always ready to come forward and report these cases.
Though they are international legal instruments that protect women against gender-based violence, but the situation on the ground is not getting any better. Reason why a group of non-governmental organizations, amongst them Voices of Women, LUCMEV and FIDA, are bent on championing this fight at the level of the southwest region. And today, they are in one of their workshops to train peer educators.
My name is Janet Weber. I'm from Ekontang Ella Chambers. I'm a member of FIDA. This workshop is to train the peer groups that will work on prevention of violence against women and girls.
These peer educators are expected to play the role of counselors and educate all, especially women, to speak out, for it is their right. And to the men, any tradition that encourages a form of violence against women and girl child as a way of life should be abolished.
And 1 out of 10 child has not survived or lives, or does not survive rather, or leaves the hospital alive after premature birth in Cameroon. The facts and figures were raised during a meeting which took place in Yaoundé today. That is why pediatricians as well as other stakeholders in the health sector met in the nation's capital Yaoundé today to discuss on how more lives can be saved after a premature birth. A pediatrician at the CNPS hospital in Yaoundé, Professor Anne Esther, spoke to Marcel Ngangsop. Let's hear her in the following excerpt.
We attempt to settle this Cameroonian Perinatal Society of Medicine by launching this workshop and this scientific day, which focus on the update on very high preterm birth. We know that currently almost 100,000 babies are likely to be preterm birth in our country, and unfortunately 1 in 10 is likely to not survive to death before and not come out of hospital. So we have gathered today to see how these things happen in our hospital. And you have listened to at least 3 reports in the same town. We have saw that even the rate of preterm birth is not the same. In the dividend hospital, we have a rate almost of 20%, almost 50% in Hospital Gyneco, in maternity principal, and in a source hospital center, the rate is less than 5%. So we have to move being working in a network. In fact, perinatal medicine is a network which targets all people who works in the, as can say, in the process of management of both mother and child. The cost of preterm birth in Cameroon now, we cannot assess it truly. We are needing to settle, some kind of operational research which may be prospective. But we know that in immediate cases, we can lose the child. But now, after, for those who survive, we know that the cost will depend on the rate of preterm delivery.
Death in Cameroon is that of small and medium-sized enterprises. Why do they barely survive just a few years after they were set up? Bad governance, limited access to finances, and tribalism are some of the factors that have been identified as causes behind the premature death of small and medium-sized enterprises in Cameroon. That is the reason why a meeting took place, a roundtable discussion, of course, organized to improve the capacities of young enterprises in Cameroon. It took place in the city of Douala, as Mfomi Armstrong-Sander tells us in this report.
The non-implementation of research findings, non-respect of global economic intelligence, lack of competitiveness in the production of quality products, corruption, limited access to finances, and poor governance, experts say are the major causes of the premature death of small and medium-sized enterprises in Cameroon. Small and medium-sized enterprises in the country close up as frequent as they are being born. Some die even before celebrating 2 months of existence. Some say more than 30,000 out of 40,000 small and medium-sized enterprises in the country were born to address specific public needs and stand the risk of closing their doors when the popular needs are out of place.
Des besoins de commande publique, et une fois le besoin de commande publique n'existe plus, ces sociétés disparaissent. Donc,
disturbed by these findings, Denise and Nora Foundation organized a roundtable discussion in Yaoundé on how to develop and patronize an enterprise. Participants were drilled on techniques to grow an enterprise as well as methods to overcome challenges encountered in nursing and nurturing an enterprise. Trainers also used the occasion to reiterate the necessity of capacity building in the success of a small and medium-sized enterprise. They also stressed on the need for young entrepreneurs to recruit based on meritocracy and shun tribalism, which is at the base of the fall of most SMEs in Cameroon.
Contre le tribalisme qui est un goulot d'étranglement actuellement dans notre pays.
Unfortunately, experts say more than 70% of small and medium-sized enterprises in the country exist in irregularity, especially in an environment where economic liberty has only got a nominal existence.
That is Radam for me, Armstrong-Sander, the reporting about the difficulties of small and medium-sized enterprises in Yaoundé. Now, a few days, we are talking sports, football too. The kickoff of away leg matches of preliminary rounds of the CAF Clubs competition. Cameroon is yet to project its representative to face the Ashanti Kotoko of Ghana. This as the Cameroon Cup final is yet to be played between Lion Blaise Futuni and Edin Sports of Lekle. The winner is going to represent Cameroon. Samanji Kankebre has more in the following report.
First leg matches for the preliminary rounds of the CAF Club competition have been programmed for the 27th and 28th of November 2018. Ashanti Kotoko of Ghana is expected to take on the winner of the Cameroon Cup. The winner, who is still unknown as the date for the Cup finals remains a top secret. Sports Minister Pierre Ishmael Bidungpat reassures.
Nous devons maintenant être essentiellement pratiques.
With the imminent announcement of the date for the cup finals by the competent body, we should remain attentive, and anytime it's announced, we shall urgently call for another meeting.
De la haute hiérarchie, étant entendu que c'est les institutions techniques compétentes.
With the preparation for the event to put to an end the sports season in Cameroon, the two finalists, Aiding Sports of Lekie and Leon Blessé of Futuni, have received 10 million francs CFA each as part of government support for their preparation. Unfortunately, should Aiding or Leon Blessé win the cup, they might not play the CAF competition because unconfirmed sources say that Ashanti Kotoko has refused Cameroon's offer of postponing the date for the first leg match. Uncertainty thus looms as Cameroon's representative might simply be absent in the CAF competition this year.
And that is that for this first segment of the news. Up next is Talking Point. We shall be right back. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we are going to be talking about the General Assembly of the Cameroon Bar Council that is expected. The elective one, of course, would be taking place tomorrow, the 24th of November 2018. We have 3 candidates vying for the post of the president: outgoing Barrister Jackson Nyekamga, Barrister NST Tanji, and Charles Chakunte. We are being joined tonight by Barrister at Law in Cameroon, Barrister Boom Raphael. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
It's a pleasure.
We are talking tonight about the General Assembly of the Bar Council in Cameroon. But before we talk about that, because at this point in time, the question of interest is the state of the Bar Council in Cameroon. What is, to you, the state of the legal corps in the country as we speak?
Actually, the state of the legal corps in Cameroon, actually the Cameroon Bar Council, is, I can say, is approximately lawyers' rights have been violated. The lawyers have been arrested one way or the other. The Bar Council, under the leadership of Barrister Nyekamga Jackson, is trying to bring lawyers together to consolidate the two legal systems together.
Okay.
Actually.
That is to you a clearer picture of what
actually
the legal corps in Cameroon is today. If you were to present the state of affairs in the Cameroon bar in general, what can possibly be your assessment? You were talking about the violation of the rights of lawyers in the country. Actually, lawyers have been arrested, maltreated, tortured, and detained arbitrarily. Whereas their rights are supposed to be respected, because a lawyer assists a judge to arrive in a decision. They are an officer of the court. So actually their rights, they are supposed to be protected in the country. The outgoing president, Barrister Nyekamga Jackson, has done everything possible to see that the rights of lawyers are protected in Cameroon. He assists lawyers who are detained. He comes to the aid of lawyers who are sick. And he actually follow up to secure the release of many lawyers who were detained because of the ongoing Anglophone crisis. But you are still worried about the situation of lawyers in the country.
Actually,
who is responsible for the protection of the rights of lawyers in Cameroon? Who is supposed to bear that responsibility?
The state is responsible for the protection of the rights of lawyers in Cameroon, given that the lawyers form an arm of the judiciary. The lawyers assist the state to arrive at justice. There are cases of murder that can never be tried without the assistance of a lawyer to the accused person. The lawyer forms a very big core, a very big arm to the justice system in Cameroon. Actually, they deserve the protection of the state. That is why the various attorney generals are always there to assist lawyers in one way or the other when the need arises.
You've raised a number of problems. The violation of the rights of lawyers is actually very pertinent. Many of the opinion, observers of the opinion that the Cameroon bar today is highly being politicized, whereas we saw cases or situations in the 80s in Cameroon where lawyers were standing up to fight against the violation of rights in general, because talking about rights violation should not only be limited in the legal court. We have general cases of rights violation in Cameroon today. What do you have to say about that and the role of lawyers as far as the violation of rights of Cameroonians is concerned?
The role of lawyers as to the violation of rights in Cameroon is actually a primordial role, because lawyers act as voices of the voiceless. A lawyer that protects the client, who depends entirely on him, has to defend the client when his right is being violated. That is why each time the right of the client is violated, the lawyer is there to protect the client. The violation of the rights of lawyers in Cameroon can be assessed at approximately 40 to 45%, given that the lawyer only speaks, he has no enforcement measure like the powers to enforce that the right must be violated. Rather, it is the state that is empowered to protect the right of lawyers in Cameroon. Actually, we will be really calling on the government of Cameroon to do more to protect lawyers in Cameroon.
So that the lawyers can in turn protect the population.
The population who depends entirely on them to protect their rights.
Tell us what the Cameroon Bar Council has been doing. It's been 4 years now that Barrister Kamga, that you seem to be praising, has been in place. He was supposed to be there for 2 years, but because of the Anglophone crisis, as some of you raised, the mandate was extended. Can you give us a balance sheet of his stay at the helm of the Bar Council in Cameroon?
Yes, as I know, Barrister Jackson Kamga took over the helm of the Bar Council when the coffers were almost empty. He did everything. He put a series of measures in order to meet up the expectation of lawyers. Firstly, he reduced the allowances allocated to Bar Council members once they meet in order to meet up the costs. He had to go an extra mile to see that the affairs of the Bar Council, the day-to-day affairs of the Bar Council are run. He took over the helm of the Bar Council when the Bar Council had debts to pay. But as of today, as what I heard,
so the Bar Council has no debt at all. Is that what you're saying?
He has. The Bar Council has. I heard that the Bar Council have raised over 100 million francs are in the coffers of the Bar Council. So there is no
financial problem in the Bar Council
today? No, actually, for now, there's no financial problem in the Bar Council. His mandate was characterized by a lot of setbacks, the Anglophone crisis, which he did a lot on the part of the Anglophone lawyers, the common law lawyers as a whole. He has been on the field day and night to see that lawyers go back to court when lawyers were on strike. He convened a meeting with Northwest lawyers, Southwest lawyers, set up an ad hoc committee that led to the resolution of the creation of a common law bench at the Supreme Court, the creation of a common law section at ENAM, and the release of some of our colleagues who were detained.
So those are some of the achievements of Barrister Kamga. Speaking,
notwithstanding the Anglophone crisis that he met, he did a lot actually.
But the crisis is still ongoing, because apart from protecting the rights of lawyers and making sure that courts are open so that activities in the legal corps can go on normally in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon, the crisis is still ongoing. And as the legal corps in Cameroon, the bar president in the country, many were expecting that he could do more than just protecting the rights of lawyers. What do you have to say about that?
Actually, the president of the Bar Council is preoccupied with the professional activities of the Bar Council. The political decisions of the state are taken by the state, not the president of the Bar Council. So in the professional domain, he has done a lot, actually, for the present Bar Council. He cannot take a political decision to solve the Anglophone crisis, whereas it is the responsibility of the state. He did everything possible for lawyers, wit and gun, to be restituted, lawyers who were detained to be released, those who ran out of the country to come back to the country.
But not all of them.
Not all of them have come back, and he's still, before his mandate got to an end.
So many members of the Bar Council that are now in Cameroon today.
Actually, before his mandate got to an end, he has been trying to work in collaboration with the state.
He's still trying. That's why we want him to come
back. Actually, we want him to complete his agenda.
It was difficult for us to have other supporters of the other candidates as far as the elective General Assembly of the Cameroon Bar Council is concerned. Thank you so much, Barrister Boom Raphael, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. See you some other time again.
It's a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is ours as well. To our viewers, it was equally a pleasure having you with us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Wishing you a blessed day in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye.